Hello, and welcome to the FinTech Times podcast, focused on discussing the latest FinTech topics and trends from around the world. Established in 2016, the FinTech Times is a global multimedia news outlet centered around the world's first leading FinTech newspaper. We report all the latest and brightest ideas from the FinTech world.
So with the global gaming industry expected to reach a valuation of $314.4 billion USD by 2026, the GameTech sector is rising right alongside it, constantly innovating to create new and exciting technologies. As blockchain, cloud, and VR bring the metaverse to life, GameTech is experiencing a huge boom in popularity that shows no signs of slowing down, as well as in-game tokens such as skins, loot boxes, and now NFTs causing a global stir. The possibilities seem endless, and many are wondering what could possibly come next. So we have some fantastic guests for today's discussion, and I'm delighted to welcome Ping Wang, co-founder and VP of Marketing at Avia Games, and Cordell Robin Coker, co-founder and CEO of Carry First. So thank you so much both for joining me today. I'd love to kick off by just having you give us a really short introduction. So Ping, why don't you start?
Hey, Polly, thank you for having me. Yeah, so my name is Ping Wang. I'm the co-founder and VP of Marketing at Avia Games. So our company is a leading global social competition platform where we host a variety of game categories where users can play casual games for tournaments and then can win real money prizes.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ping. And Cordell, could you give us a short intro, please?
Likewise, thank you for having me. I'm CEO of Carry First, and Carry First is the regionally focused publisher of mobile games. We partner with studios around the world to localize and publish their games in Africa and help them access a really exciting market.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'm so pleased to have you both here today. I cannot wait for the conversation we're going to have. So just to kick off, I think it'd be really great to just get the lowdown from you two on what are the latest technologies to appear in gaming and what is the game tech in the industry at the moment. Cordell, I'm going to ask you to kick us off with that one.
Yes, absolutely. So the cool thing is that games have been at the cutting edge of technology for probably as long as we can remember. I think if we look at, let's say, just the last 15 years, the rise of micropayments, ad tech, AI with regard to user acquisition. And I think what people are most excited about right now probably are two things. One is blockchain in gaming, and the second is AR and VR. So both of those open up a really wide range of new applications and different ways for people to engage. And I think people are going kind of nuts right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, could you give me just like a couple of examples of how like blockchain can be utilized within gaming as well?
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, right now, and particularly in 2021, was the explosion of NFTs and play-to-earn gaming. And so very simply, in a free-to-play game, oftentimes a user will have the ability to buy different things in games. They could be skins, different avatars, boosts, things to help them either look better or play better, I would say, if I tried to simplify it. But in the traditional world, a user couldn't genuinely own or transfer any of these items. And so if you tokenize them using blockchain, a user now has verifiable ownership. That item is genuinely scarce because there's only one of it. And the combination of those things means that there's value. So I can now sell you my skin, you determine what it's worth, and suddenly now all those hours I spend playing video games can actually yield something tangible.
Amazing. And we'll get on a little bit later to NFTs and skins a bit more. But Ping, what did you think on this? What are the latest technologies you're seeing in gaming?
Yeah, I think that Cordell is well set for all those areas. So for us, right, we have always been in the gaming industry. For example, I used to work for Konami and Ubisoft. A lot of times ago, it was always about, microtransaction and sometimes subscription model. But right now, there are digital currency, right? NFT, VR, AR games, cloud-based gaming, and metaverse And because I'm in Silicon Valley, so metaverse right now is a hot key. Everybody's talking about blockchain, NFT, and they have a huge, because we're doing the fundraising for Series C. A lot of VCs, they are, they pay attention to the latest technology, especially for NFT and also blockchain technology. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, metaverse is just such a huge thing at the moment, for sure. I mean, so what I guess inspires the creation of these new technologies? What is it that is driving the innovation in the industry forward? Ping, I'll come back to you for that one.
Okay, yeah. So we believe, because we're in Silicon Valley, right? A lot of technologies are created or developed here. We believe that the core of new technologies always try to make daily life more convenient and make our lives more secure and interesting. So for example, the invention of blockchain technology, like Cordell says, it brought, greater innovation to the gaming industry. It is secure as it's, decentralized, distributed, and it's harder to corrupt. So that's greatly improving the security of players' games, especially the security of the game assets. So one of the example, for us, right, we are the social gaming competition platform. We do have real money prizes. So the payment, so we're currently in the US only, but the payment in APAC is complicated. Also, they have a lot of compliance issue. So we could potentially use cryptocurrency to serve users in those areas. And currently, because digital currency or the crypto wallet, they lower the traditional payment threshold for games. So the payment in the games is much more, convenient and more safe, especially for those APAC region. So we did a research. So currently the crypto game market revenue in 2020, last year, is 321 million. There are 42 million gamers worldwide. They have crypto. And then 38% are millennials, they're 21 to 38 years old. And then around, I think 70% of those gamers with crypto, they want to have more opportunities to use crypto in their games, right? So among those gamers who own crypto, 23 million users are in the APAC region, which means there are huge opportunities for those region. And then there are 3.3 million users in North America. But so for us, we think that, especially for those innovation, more security payment method could help us enter into different markets. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cordell, what do you have to add on that?
So I think one of the things that drives a ton of innovation in the gaming industry is just the passion for gaming. What you find is that most people who are in the gaming industry genuinely love games. So it's not like maybe construction or something or accounting. And I'm sure there are people who love construction and accounting, but games are actually fun. People grow up playing them. They continue to have them as part of their daily lives. And by definition, they do it without needing to at all. It's entirely discretionary. And so gamers and people who work in the game industry are constantly tinkering, thinking about how to make things more fun, how to push the envelope. There's a concept called modding, where a player will actually modify a game that's created by a company just because they think it's a cool thing to do. And so you have just a lot of, I would say, organic innovation that sprouts up from indie game studios, which can be 1 to 5 people anywhere in the world, all the way up to your mega corporations that are listed. So I do think the fact that gaming is just fun and gamers are passionate and in some ways kind of obsessive leads to a lot of like emergent behavior and technologies.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think it would be remiss not to mention, I guess, the global situation with the pandemic and COVID-19 and that really boosting the gaming industry. But how have you guys both found that effect on the game tech? Like, how has that affected just things in general? I mean, even now we're sort of 2 years in. Are we still seeing the effects of that now? Cordell, I'm going to go back to you for that.
I think the pandemic accelerated a set of trends that were already on the way. I think in particular with blockchain and AR, VR, there were things kind of percolating, and there were small projects, and you saw things pop up like CryptoKitties a few years ago. But with the pandemic, with everyone at home, with, I would say, the more traditional world of finance and business, realizing that games are really, really important. They're the biggest form of media. When people are at home, this is how they connect with friends and family and engage. I think there was just like supercharged, both from a consumer engagement, but also from a funding and focus and validation. And so today, I say I run an African gaming company, and people are excited and they want to give me money and they want to talk to me. 3 years ago, I said that, and they said, "Do Africans play games?" And then I had to have that conversation. And so I do think the pandemic has helped a lot. And we're seeing that wave really continue today, which is wonderful.
Yeah, amazing. Ping, do you have anything to add on that one?
No, I think he's absolutely right. For us, I think one of the trend is always true is nowadays, even before a pandemic, right? Everybody is already playing mobile games, even though in the traditional sense where people say gamers are, especially for people in the US, right? Gamers meaning you have Xbox, you have those hardcore consoles, right? A lot of people, they play mobile games are not considered as gamers, right? But as smart devices more popular in the US, like even Samsung devices has a lot of market share in the US right now. So there already a trend where people are playing non-hardcore games. So on our platform, we have like social casino type like like 21 or bingo. We also have casual games like Block Bloods or kind of brain games or arcade games. We did see some of the increasing trend for the uprising daily active users during pandemic. So for example, our company in the last 2 years, our GTV increased 42 times in 2 years. So that just means a lot of users start to play, more mobile games. And plus, I guess one of the things is we do have different technology like matchmaking algorithm. People can compete with other real people. So we actually, I think till today, we have 150 million tournaments host every month. So the pandemic definitely, I guess, give us a boost during the past year where users have more fragment of time during their time, they work from home. They're like, okay, I'm just going to play 2 or 3 minutes casual games and then we can have fun. So yeah, we did see a trend in, the boost of daily active users and engagement from the users.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know I'm sure we're all sick of, the P word and the C word by now, but I do think it's still important to share what effects it really has on all industries, particularly gaming. But now I'd really love to turn to NFTs, almost the big trend in gaming, at least what from I've seen. I'm sure maybe you guys will be able to share a little bit more on that. But I'd love to know, why are tokens such as NFTs, skins, and all the different kind of in-game loot, why is it so popular? What is it about them that makes gamers just absolutely love them? Ping, let's go to you first.
Okay, so I think I'm sure Cordell will agree me on this, nowadays, it's more than ever that we value individualism, we value personalization, right? The vanity system or whatever the skin system is always popular in the game, but nowadays it is highly reflected in the gaming community today. So there is a research from Superdata, there was over 90 billion was spent on microtransaction last year, and most of those money are spent on new costumes or weapon skins. If you look at Fortnite, right, they had licensing with a lot of the famous brands like Marvel. They have Rick and Morty. So I love Rick and Morty. So I would spend money on Rick for sure, So I think it is. There is no doubt, the vanity system has always been so popular. So now tokens like NFT, they allow players to buy exclusive merchandises under their name within the game. So owning the item outright. So with the introduction of Web 3.0, communities people, they're using tokens to create like new digital platforms, ecosystems. They can trade amongst themselves and with their communities. So that's in turn creating the economic system in the virtual world. This is very interesting. So this is a new technology where users can see, oh, we can actually trade and make money for our own generated item and exclusive for me. So we think, you know, that's just increase the concept of individualism. You know, this is something to stand for themselves about their own identity. That's why we think those NFTs and skins so popular. Yeah.
It's interesting, Ping, that you said you waste your money on Rick and Morty skins. I guess leading on from this question, and Corda, I'll get to you in a second, but how do you kind of deal with sort of maybe the criticism and perhaps the controversy around these sort of virtual items, especially I know because with like younger people and children, it's very popular with things like Roblox and all of that. How do you sort of deal with the naysayers who don't get it, who don't understand the NFT system and the gaming system? That might be a really big question, but I'd just be interested to know what you think on that one.
Yeah, I think that's quite interesting. You know, I think for us, right, we like people in the technology or people in the gaming industry, because they're always ahead of everyone, right? They want to see different things in the world. For me, I personally, or I agree, a lot of gamers, they would agree with me, is those skins or NFT, those kind of stuff, it's actually a way to express themselves. Because nowadays it's so easy, you know, you're doing the same job over and over again. One of the ways to get away from the real world is to play games. And NFT allows you to create your own economy, create your own items. It's just, you know, it's a way to express who we are. So I do think that people who are attacking this, it's just like they don't understand kind of the needs from human beings try to be different. That's our perspective, right? So from the gamer's perspective, I mean, I play a lot of games. I love RPG. I love, you know, Final Fantasy, right? I would love to have my own items in a different world. And I was like, okay, this is my own thing. This is my own persona in different worlds. I would love to express that. So I think people who have maybe, you know, especially for kids, right? You just have to have a healthy gaming concept in the world and give them healthy guidance on how to do this. But essentially, we think it's promote innovation among human beings. I mean, that's our perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that and agree completely about the whole personalization. I remember when I was a kid and playing games, I used to love all the ones that were like dress up games where you got to really pick your character and things. So like it totally makes sense now. That's kind of what it's all about. I mean, Cordell, what do you think on this, both on why NFTs and skins are so popular and also sort of what to say to the people who don't quite understand the whole thing?
Yeah, like I think NFTs and skins, and even beyond that, I would say just Web3, because you have, you know, fungible tokens and you have non-fungible. I would say, you know, they're really popular because in many ways they're not new. They're just like a newer, more highly functional adaptation. So in a game, almost any game, you have at least one currency, oftentimes two or three, which you can earn, which you can purchase, which you can use for different things. And you have a bunch of discrete items, which again can be functional or they can be cosmetic. And NFTs and cryptocurrencies are just a way to tokenize those things, to have ownership and exchangeability. And so it's just kind of like an upgrade for things that have already existed. And, you know, people like upgrades generally, is in my experience. And, you know, for the people who are naysayers, I would say about gaming and about crypto gaming and so on, I would say the thing maybe that they are missing is that fun is a fundamental human need, right? Like fun, community, connection, personal challenge, personal growth. All of those things are obtained through games. Actually, when people talk about the term quote unquote gamification, that's what they're talking about, introducing progression and enjoyment into things. And that's how people learn, right? That's how people engage with things. And so ultimately, I think they're almost entirely missing the boat because maybe it's just a medium that they're not used to. But if we didn't have fun, if we didn't, engage with friends, if we couldn't escape from the world of work, then we would have really, really miserable lives. Our mental health would suffer. So
I agree.
Yeah, I absolutely love that, Cordell. Fun is so important. And I think not to be too deep or anything, but people do forget that quite a lot of the time. So I absolutely love that point entirely. So what does the future hold then for NFTs and sort of these kind of, tokenized things within gaming? Because I remember when NFTs first were kind of trendy and at least, general popular media as well, that everyone was saying, oh, they'll be over in a couple of months, you won't hear about NFTs anymore by the summer. And then, it's now January and they're still as big as ever. So what do you think is going to happen over sort of the next year with NFTs? Are they going to keep their momentum? Are they just going to keep going and get bigger? Ping, why don't you comment on that one?
Mm-hmm. So, we're currently definitely not the expert for NFT. I guess nobody is because everybody is exploring that. But I do think that potential for NFTs in gaming is bigger than other industries because the games have already been interacting with digital currency, right? The blockchain games has already been there. So as a result, we probably will see faster adoption than other user groups. Looking ahead and due to the rise of Web3, we think we'll see a lot at the intersection of NFTs, gaming, and the metaverse. So for example, for us, we already have real money as the prices for, competition format. It's a pretty natural integration for NFT-based gaming. So we'll explore for the opportunities for us, definitely, for sure. Yeah.
Amazing. And then Cordell, what did you think on this one?
I think they'll continue to grow and we'll see a lot of innovation. Right now, I think people tend to think about free-to-play gaming on one hand and then crypto gaming on the other hand. And my guess is that we're going to see a conversion between the two because I think what people are going to find is that simply having cryptocurrency in your game is not going to make it successful. I think in the beginning, there's some novelty to it, but ultimately your game needs to be fun. And the people that know how to make genuinely fun, engaging, systematic games are coming from the free-to-play world. And so what I see is you're going to see a lot of traditional game companies and studios and talent start integrating and start working on crypto-based projects. And that should lead to really, really awesome experiences. That could be, the next Final Fantasy, you get to own the things that you buy, or the next sort of, card battler. You can keep those cards and, bequeath them to your kids when you're 50 and show them how cool you were back in the day. And so I think there's going to be a lot of innovation. Who knows what's going to happen to sort of the price of cryptocurrency and that market? That can put a little bit of a damper, but I think the innovation is going to continue and I don't think it's really going anywhere.
Yeah, I love that point on sharing your items and things like that with your children, because I think one of the definitely highlights of my childhood was playing games with my dad. We used to get out all his old game consoles and stuff from 20 years before I was born, and we would just play games, and that was so fun. So I love the idea that can evolve, but in a completely new way of sharing your skins, and you could wear your dad's skin during a game. I think that's super cool. Looking ahead then to the future, let's first start with the near future. Obviously, we've talked about the kind of technologies that are here at the moment that are causing innovation at the moment, but sort of over the next year, over 2022, what do we think is going to happen with the gaming and game tech industry? What's the next big thing on the horizon? Is it here yet, or are we just going to simply keep going with everything that we have already? Cordell, I'll bring you in on this one.
That's a good question. I'm always weary of making near-term predictions, but I do think, as of today, there's probably one big hit crypto game, which is Axie Infinity. I think we'll see at least one, if not a handful of additional, sort of successful, scaled crypto-led games. I also think you're going to see more big companies start to, put a stake in the ground and say, we're doing this. You've already seen, Zynga start to do it. We've seen Ubisoft come out with a project, and I think you're going to see more and more of that. So the combination of those two things, I think, is going to be 2022 will be a pretty big year for that evolution.
Amazing. And Ping, what did you think?
So for us, so other than the blockchain technology, NFT, the trend, right? We do think that there is one VR, AR technology. So because the reason we're thinking that is that, in the very beginning, when we have the VR or augmented reality, the devices was very bulky. It was very expensive, right? So nowadays, those technology becomes more and more convenient and approachable. So, and also the experiences from VR, AR technology give users our immersive experience. I remember there was a guy who gave me a VR or play of the horror game almost through all the devices. It was just, it's very immersive. So we believe there will be a great development and adoption for VR and AR games. If you look at Pokemon Go, when it first came out, right, it's AR games and everybody was, crazy about it. So it's not only, I guess, improve the social engagement between human to human, but also it's a fun experiences. So we believe that in the midterm, the VR, AR technology could be a big thing too. So for us, we are, we eventually want to open user-generated content so we can be the open source software where imagine if we can have VR, AR technology in the game where, let's say, two housewives, they can compete for their cooking skills using VR, AR. That'll be a very fun experience, so we think, AR, VR, could be a next big thing too.
Yeah, just speaking on the topic of like VR and AR and that kind of thing, we haven't really discussed the metaverse yet in this webinar. I know we mentioned it briefly, but I was wondering just before we sort of get on to the future, how much is the metaverse coming to play in everything that we've spoken about today in terms of like innovation and the industry and how it's moving forward? Ping, do you want to just pick up on that one?
Yeah, so metaverse. So I think the notion of metaverse with the gaming community started with the games like Roblox, right, and Fortnite. So I think the metaverse eventually will impact gaming not just across a small number of games, but across all the games, including the mobile games. So currently, I think for the the Facebook, right? Actually, we should call it Meta. So we had a meeting with them. Because we spent a lot of advertising dollars with them. And then one of the things they were talking with us is that, we're going to use the VR technology for virtual meetings, one of the steps for the metaverse, even though right now it's kind of, because Roblox, even though it's not necessarily metaverse because it's for kids. The kids they're building their own houses and then interact with other kids, and eventually they can, some of the older audiences, they can actually build stuff and build games and make money out of it. So we think that with metaverse, it could create a virtual world where users can interact with different characters standing for different real players, and they can create a separate virtual economy system. It's very interesting to see how it goes. I personally would love to see that. I love the concept of metaverse. We think it's going to be huge in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Cordell, just your thoughts on the whole thing.
I would say I have much less clarity on where the metaverse is going versus, let's say, blockchain gaming. And they are related, right? Blockchain allows you to have a system of currency and items that are immutable in a sort of future metaverse. But, when we say the metaverse, we say the, right? Which implies there's going to be a single unified immersive ecosystem where all of these games, all of these systems, and where some significant portion of your identity rests. And I still have a hard time thinking about how we get from where we are today to there. I see more and more immersive platforms emerging, like Roblox, like Minecraft. I see Facebook probably, or Meta, taking a really hard charge at trying to potentially create their own within their own ecosystem. But you're still, in that case, jumping from one ecosystem to another. And the question is, what will be the tool or the company or the innovation that will allow for unification, right? Like with blockchain, it's decentralization, right? It's that no one owns it, no one can ever control it. Once it's put out into the world, it just keeps going. Everything else that I'm seeing right now in the metaverse, like someone owns it, right? And I'm seeing more and more people say like, oh, I'm the largest landowner in this metaverse, right? Which in some ways is like the antithesis of decentralization. We're just like kind of replicating the IRL capitalist like hoarding behavior in digital ecosystems. And so I wouldn't say I'm a skeptic. I would just say I have much less clarity. I'm kind of curious as to how it all plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that curiosity is shared by a lot of people, not just, I guess, in the gaming industry like yourselves, but just people in general. The whole concept, I think, is going to be super interesting just to see exactly what it means and how it's going to play out. Looking then ahead to the future, I know we've touched on the future very briefly already, but let's look ahead to like sort of the very far future, say the next 5 years, maybe even the next 10 years, if we can possibly look that far away. Where is the industry going to go? What's going to come next for gaming and game tech and everything that we've spoken about today? Cordell, I'm gonna pick on you first for that one.
So a couple of things. One, I think gaming is going to continue to become like more and more democratized. So right now, I think the number is you have something like 3 billion gamers in the world, and most of them are still in the developed or in the first world. I think as technology becomes better, more adaptive, more accessible, particularly with mobile, I think you're going to see an explosion of gaming in regions like Latin America, Southeast Asia, Africa, where we spend most of our time, and the Middle East. And so I think it's going to be genuinely universal and global. I think the second thing is gaming and finance are going to basically like merge in a way that will seem inseparable. And so the term GameFi, which I think is a little bit artificial right now, is going to become a genuine thing. And I think fintech and embedded fintech will kind of fade away as concepts as every business and every platform will be a fintech platform, kind of like software used to be 10 years ago. You could be a software company, whereas today you're just a e-commerce player. So I think those are probably the two biggest things that I see happening. And who knows on the tech front? I think the surprises are kind of the fun part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Ping, coming to you.
Yeah, so absolutely right. I think there are the first trend, we already talked about that, is that the new technology will fundamentally change gaming. So because with the integration of e-commerce, NFTs will allow players to interact with their favorite idols and plays in new ways. So they will have tremendous, immersive experience in the gaming world. And then also the technology required to achieve this and the changes need to make the games more metaverse compliant. Those kind of things still need to be made because right now it's like Cordell said, it's kind of not very clear. Everybody can do that. I'm sure that the compliance policy eventually will be on those metaverse gaming world as well. So I think the ultimate aim for the technology is for players to feel as if they're part of a real game, and for those to watch that, to feel like they're in the crowd at the event and be able to interact as they would in the real world. Actually, Fortnite already has some, the DJ to host a virtual, concert in the game already. I mean, that is huge, right? Before it could not to have the real life DJs to interact with the players in the virtual world. So we think that new technology is definitely changing gaming. Another part, other than all the things we talk about, we think that there is a huge potential for cloud-based gaming. The reason for that is just, cloud-based gaming is, allow players to play from anywhere. It doesn't need devices, right? It doesn't need a client either. So many companies are attempting to capture this market today. Of course, we're also looking at that. We want users to play from anywhere accessible so that they can play in the same universe. So we think cloud-based gaming is also a huge trend. It'll have a huge influence in the future as well.
Amazing. Firstly, I just want to say thank you to our online audience for watching and joining us. Don't forget, you can follow along the conversation with #FinTechTimes NFT and skins, and you can follow us at the FinTech Times on Twitter. And thanks so much to my wonderful panelists, Ping and Cordell. It's been so fantastic to have you here. I've really enjoyed our conversation today, and I feel like we could have probably carried on a lot more just to really get into the nitty-gritty of gaming and game tech and everything else. But thank you so much for sharing your insights with us, and I hope we see you again really soon.
Thank you, Polly.
Thank you for having us. Take care.
Good to be here. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the FinTech Times podcast. We hope you enjoyed the discussion as much as we did. Don't forget to check us out at thefintechtimes.com and subscribe to our monthly publication to keep up to date with all the latest fintech news.